Hi, I'm Maurice Goodman, and welcome to DelValNow. Today we're going to talk to Christine Nieves, a rising senior at the University of Pennsylvania, majoring in communications and public service. We're going to talk about her community activities and her accomplishments while here at the Annenberg School of Communications.
I know that students at Penn that are Latino may come here with the concern of, financial aid. I need to pay for my loans. I need to get a job, and research becomes the last, even off the priority list. But research is essential, especially in a research institution. That's the way it goes on record. That's the way you make a difference in the academic realm. And for me, it's a matter of I want other students to see the power of research, to engage in it beyond science or engineering, which are the strongest here at Penn. Communications, media, television. The thought of being at Penn was not even, it was beyond my imagination, being in an Ivy League institution. And that function of suddenly realizing that your socioeconomic level doesn't dictate what your potential is, doesn't dictate how far you can go, doesn't dictate which school you can go to. That realization has inspired me to take this issue and try to solve it from different angles. Try to solve it from the angle of how can we create equal access to education and information? How can other Latinos learn about these scholarships? And how can, once they make it to college, how can they do research that's going to help back to create a cycle of more information, equal access, and moving forward.
We're here at 2721 North 5th Street, where Christine is going to take DelValNow on a tour of Taller Puerto Ricano with Carmen Thebo, the director. This is a place where Christine's goals and heritage as an educator for Latino children are met every day.
Taller exists to work on its mission, which is the preservation, promotion, and creation of a presence of Puerto Rican culture here in Philadelphia, as well as the quality representation of other Latin American cultures and what we call our common roots or our commonalities, which are a lot. It does it through its main programs that include the bookstore that promotes Puerto Rican and Latin American writers, researchers, as well as handcraft done by Puerto Rican and Latin American crafts. And in the summer it shows the work of the children and youth in our programs, in our education programs.
Carmen, I told you that I'm from Ponce, and I mentioned that as soon as I walked in, I saw the Gigante mask. You were telling me that this is a tradition that it's different depending on the region.
The Gigante masks are part of the carnival tradition of Puerto Rico. And there's two main styles of the Gigante masks. And the Gigante mask is is one of those ways in which our African ascendancy were able to incorporate some of their cultural components into the tradition of a very religious culture, which was Puerto Rico and Catholicism. So the Gigante mask gets incorporated into the tradition of Carnival, which has a religious component into it because it's the end of it's the beginning of Lent, and it's, then you stop partying and you're going to get into the more serious part of the year. This tradition is made of papier-mâché. The other style, which we're going to see, is made of coconut, of the coconut fruit per se. So that the artesano carves directly on the coconut, and then the coconut is painted. The Vergigante is a playful figure in Carnival, that dances with the kids in the parade, and has a vejiga or a bladder full of water, and scares and eventually, I guess, gets somebody wet. But
Right.
so it's part of that playful, tradition of Carnival.
And the beauty of it is that when I was in Dominican Republic, we also have similar carnivals. And so I feel that art is this, common denominator. And in this, in this instance, the carnival.
We do an event that we call the Schomburg series, which explores our African roots into Latin culture, and we dedicated 1 year to Carnival. It's not just Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, it's Peru, it's Brazil,
everyone, right?
it's the tradition
so
of Carnival is all around. And the thing is that even though the elements may be different, the figures are different, etc., there's so much commonality in the festivity per se. In our education programs, we incorporate all of these elements, and you can see up there are examples of masks done by the kids in our program, incorporating some of the components of the traditional masks, but then letting their imagination go.
They're wonderful. And it's just such a happy, energetic, and amazing experience.
And modern artists will do all sorts of reinterpretation. For example, this is an artist that is now in New York, and it's print, but it's again Vergigante masks.
And I see that one right there. That's beautiful.
This is another Puerto Rican artist, which is again an adaptation of the Vergigante.
Now there's always a queen or a princess in the carnival, right? I mean, that's the one person that doesn't wear the mask.
That's right. No, the Vergigante figures, there's usually maybe 2 or 3 during at Carnival, but then there's the traditional, for example, Spanish caballero. There's a child. There may be old women dancing, and then all sorts of characters become part of that whole celebration.
And it is kind of religious. It is.
Yes.
And I think especially in Catholic, towns in Ponce, you see something similar con las mañanitas. It's something bringing people together, and that is the feeling of carnival.
Let me show you also some of the work that the kids do in our program. These are ceramic pieces that are produced by the kids in the program. For example, it's a coffee cup.
Wow. Yeah. And they do this as part of
they learn how to work with ceramics, yeah.
The outside of the mosaic trim building at Huntington and Fifth Streets represents the ancient heritage of the Latino community. But inside is the future. Christine and I went upstairs to check things out. What do we have? What did you make it of? What was it? What was the background?
With cotton paper.
With cotton paper and tissue paper. And you painted each of the pieces of the tissue paper?
Yeah, no, we rolled it up into little balls. And then we glued it at the bottom and then put it back.
Well, how did you make the color?
We just took colored tissue paper.
What do you see the state of play of politics, education, culture in this generation going forward in the community? How can you best meld those aspects together and move it forward where all of those boundaries do melt away?
I think that politics, education, and moving together in a community, it's just a natural combination. I think it's one fits into the other. It's a cycle. I mean, we need to have education and empowerment so that our youth and our leaders understand the power of becoming active in becoming engaged in the civic process and in politics. My favorite class is already, and it's a shame. I think that we're seeing how young Latinos are walking up and taking the lead in government and taking the lead in politics. And I say this because I know of a former Hispanic Heritage Youth Award recipient who was running for office as one of